Hey everyone, Artanis215 here, and today I am doing something pretty exciting. So, today I'm actually going to do a mod spotlight on a brand new mod, or it's pretty freaking new anyways. It's called Applied Energistics. And for those of you who have heard of it, you know that it is pretty much logistics pipes or logi pipes on steroids. It's crazy. Logistics Pipes 2 is out, and I'm thinking I might do a mod spotlight on that here fairly quickly, but I wanted to get you guys kind of informed on this mod because I had to do some serious research to get to where I was kind of comfortable with even doing this spotlight. So let's get started into Applied Energistics and what this crazy mod is all about. What the world gen for it is, how you make some of the stuff. I will just be using an EI. I'm not going to do what some people do and set up crafting tables because I just find that to be a bit of a waste of time. So let me prepare a couple more things because I forgot, and you also see that I do have, I installed thermal expansion. I put together a pack, a pretty massive pack, using the Astaki team launcher. I'm running solitary craft right now, but we'll go into creative tabs and applied energistics. Apparently, thermal expansion isn't separating itself, which is fine. We'll have to run in some of those blocks and some forestry stuff, but um, let's go ahead and actually I'll just get started. So the first thing that you're going to notice with this mod is that it adds some world gen. It adds this quartz crystal stuff, and this is very important. So let's go ahead and grab ourselves out a pickaxe, and we'll see what pickaxe can break it. So we'll grab wood, stone, iron, and soak 'em wood. Well, it looks like wood might be able to, and it can. So your drops will vary. They're supposed to be random. Like, see, the first time I got some quartz dust, the second time I didn't, and these are affected by fortune. So if I go ahead and I give myself a fortune 3 pickaxe, fortune, right there, we'll notice that I do get a bit more, quite a bit more actually. So it's well worth your time to fortune this stuff because you're going to use it in just about everything. So let's go ahead and I'll show you the uses of this quartz stuff. So you can use it to make tools, and they're pretty nice tools. And then you're also going to need it to make quartz fibers, and I'll show you what these are used for in a bit. You can also use it to make the quartz grindstone, which is you're following JT Kirk and I's Modern Minecraft City Challenge. Then you'll know what this is. If you aren't, shame on you, go watch it. But if you get this and something called a hand crank, or maybe it's just a crank. Yeah, this guy, wooden crank. And you throw him in there, you can actually macerate your ores. So, just a really cheap manual way. You have to right click this guy to get him to work. A cheap manual way of macerating ores for the first little while before you have power, which is definitely nice. We're also going to need quartz to make most, if not all, of the blocks in this mod. So if we go ahead and we're going to look at the first block that you're going to need, and that is the monitor. No, it's the control block, the ME controller. So you're going to need 4 quartz, and you're going to need an advanced processor. Now this guy is pretty expensive. You're going to have to smelt up yourself an advanced processor assembly, which is made with a quartz cutting knife, and I do believe it gets multiple uses, and a diamond, a couple redstone, and some silicon, which you get by smelting quartz dust. So rather expensive, but this is this guy right here, your controller. You'll see that he is offline, and that I have a bunch of stuff hooked up to him. I'll tell you what all that is in just a second. As a matter of fact, let me set something up here really quick. Just need to do this for later. this is for a bit later in the mod spotlight, and I don't want that hooked up right this moment. There. I'll tell you what all this crazy stuff is in just a second. So we'll notice our ME controller currently says offline, power is low. So you can power this guy with either IC2, which I have chosen for this spotlight, or I'll show you right now. You can go ahead and slap yourself down one of those and you will power it right up. So this also works. It will constantly drain MJ. I think it's 2 MJ or 6 EU based on the component. Each of these components take a different amount. The cables, which are right here, have a very low tick rate and a very low energy cost to stay up. But some of the machines do cost quite a bit. So there is that. So we'll let this guy go ahead and run out of power. I'll really drain him out fast right here. And you'll notice that this guy does not work. So we'll go ahead and flip him back on and let our HV solar array do its work. And we have our ME controller. So this is kind of the base block for this mod. This lets your network operate. This is basically a mod that's based around matter energy conversion. So I'll get into what's behind these two walls in just a bit. It's just some more late game stuff that you'll probably be interested in. So the next block that I want to show you is the ME chest. And it's not a normal chest, obviously, so I can take some of this white rock gruel and I can click what I want. It is not going to go in there. Well, what we're going to need is we're going to need some sort of storage device. And this mod adds a whole crap ton of storage. We have 1K, 4K, 16K, 64K, and they each go up in price. The 1K is just a storage cell, which is a basic processor, and a basic processor is going to be gold instead of the diamond. And then, again, more quartz. So that's our basic cell, and I don't know how you get a hold of these. There isn't a crafting recipe. And then they each tier up. You'll need a storage block for this guy, which is expensive, and then storage segments for those. And the 64K is the storage cluster, which is 3 storage blocks, each of which is 3 storage segments, each of which is 3 storage cells, each of which is that. So very expensive on quartz. You'll want to collect this as much as you can and fortune it if possible, or you can silk touch it and macerate it for 8 quartz crystals, and you can compress your quartz dust into those, and you can also macerate or pulverize. As you'll notice, when you get 10 quartz dust, so about 2.5 quartz crystals. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab a 1K storage, and we can just stick this guy in here, and we'll notice a few things in the tooltips. 0 of 1024 bytes used, and 0 of 63 types. So if we put our rock wool in there, he'll just chill. We can pull this out, and he stays in our storage. And we can go ahead and we can store up a whole bunch of different types of rock wool. And you'll notice that they do stack more than 128. So I can get as much orange rock wool as I want, and it will just pile up right there. We'll get some more white and get a bunch of this other stuff as well. Now you'll notice the types, we're now up to 7. So we have 7 types of wool, 7 of those, and 192 bytes are now used. I've looked around and I'm still not sure how this is calculated. So we have 640 orange and 128 white, and then a bunch of varied stacks, and we're getting 192. All I know is that these things can store a ridiculous amount, even at just 1K. So that's that. The next block I want to show you guys is the terminal. This is kind of your god block, so to speak. It doesn't make anything run, but it lets you access everything that is connected to your network. Now, I have these blocks connected by cables for a few reasons, but they will operate just fine if I disconnect them. As long as they are all touching, everything can access itself, everything works just wonderfully, and we can sort them, and we can sort by blah blah blah. But by default, you open it up and it's like this, and then I can type in, let's say, white, and it'll give me just that. So I can pull out a stack, and it's in my inventory. Same thing over here. If I pulled a stack of orange out, it would be no longer in here. Oh, that's the terminal. I'll show you the terminal next, because the terminal is a really cool block. This is kind of a disorganized mod spotlight, and I apologize for that, but this mod has so many facets that it's hard to know what to go over first. So bear with me. Next block I'm going to show you is the MEC terminal, and that stands for crafting terminal. We can see we have a nice crafting grid right there. So if I go ahead and we load up my default, or my no micro blocks, and we grab out some stone, and we can just throw this into this chest, just dandy. Access it from here. We can also pull stuff out here. So if I take 4 of these guys, or 3, and I craft myself like this, that pattern will stay there. It's stuck, not going anywhere unless I remove it. But what this thing does is it will supply from the network materials. So you'll notice the number up here is going down as I collect these stone bricks. So I can just shift click myself some, and you'll notice that it goes down accordingly. So this basically is a way to supply yourself with materials for crafting. Very, very cool block. Now this guy is, this is the storage baby. This is where the mod kind of starts to come out and go, ooh, look at me. Now these things are cool, but who wants to have a ton of chests laying around, right? So I'm going to pull that out, and I'm going to stick it into our drive. And this thing can store a whopping 10 of these. And then it's still accessible from any point. It just chills in there, and I can access it from any of these terminals, except for the chest, because it's no longer in there. So this is what you'll upgrade to after the chest. And if I go back into Applied Energistics, we'll see that the drive is a good deal more expensive. It requires a chest and 2 of these basic processors. So it's a good deal more expensive than the chest itself. And the chest is basically just a good way to get started. It uses a conversion matrix, so reasonably cheap. Do note, however, that this chest will take power, and as do all of these machines. So watch what, you know what? I'll show you that in a minute. So that's that. Back here we have our wireless access point. Now this thing has a very, very limited range. It has a limited range of 16 blocks when it's first online. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it online with my lovely lever. You'll notice back here we have a storage block with some stuff in it. If I pull that out, it goes away. Put it in, take it out. So very cool, nice little graphic effects on the back of that thing. So let's go ahead and we're going to get ourselves a wireless access terminal. So this guy is crafted with a terminal, which is crafted like so, and a wireless receiver. Fairly expensive. As I was saying, this is how you craft those quartz fibers. 3 quartz dust with some glass. Anyways, enough of the recipes. That's really not what you guys are probably interested in, eh? Let's grab this wireless access terminal. So if we take this and we throw it into our ME controller, it will link it to this controller. And as long as we have one of these on the network that is active, we can go ahead and within 16 blocks of that access point, we can access this terminal. So we'll notice no signal, no signal, and as soon as we hit that 16 block range, we get our terminal. So not very far out. Now we can craft these boosters, which use a quartz each, up to 16 of them, and we can boost it out to 32 blocks. So now we'll get a little bit more range on this guy. But I believe the tiny range was a balance factor, because otherwise this guy could be pretty overpowered if you could access it 2,000 blocks away, no problem. So that's that. Now we have a couple of other things relating to these discs. So I'm going to toss this one out, and we're not going to bother with him anymore. And I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to tear this wall down. So let's just get this wall out of the way. And this is more of the late game. You have more resources than you know what to do with, so you went ahead and built 36 drive bays. And you're just going absolute ham with this mod. Sorry. Woo, that was Not a good place to cough. So if I flip this guy on, we'll notice that I have some stuff in here, all done already. And if we come up to earthen materials, I did label it, and we'll note that these guys have names. So what I've done with these is I've taken them over to this guy right here. This guy does not require any power. He is called the pre-formatter, and what you can do is you can take your disks, put them in here, and you can pre-format them to a specific item or multiple items. So this guy is my cobble drive. He is only allowed to have cobblestone in him. Here's my sand drive, only allowed to have sand, dirt, and gravel, all respectively. Those guys will only accept those items. They will accept nothing else. They literally have just that item in them, because that's all they can accept. I also have one down here for stone materials, and this kind of demonstrates the multiple things. If I put this in here, you'll notice that he can accept stone bricks and stone. And you can add to these at any point in time and just reformat them, no problems. So let's say I wanted to add, a stone brick slab to this guy. All that I have to do is just go ahead and slap this in here, put him in there, and then I can add this, format it, and now he can accept stone materials. So if I just kind of get rid of all this stuff and put him in here, you'll see he can accept those guys. Nothing happens to your data, it just sits there and you're all golden. So we can go ahead and put that guy back in there, and we're doing dandy. So this is kind of a drive array, so to speak. I'm guessing because these guys are pre-formatted, they're not, or if they're not full enough, they're not showing up on here. Whereas this one over here, we noted did. So over here I have a ton of these drives, and they're all connected up underground through my giant networking system. So next up we have this guy, our ME crazy machine thingamajig. And to go with it, we have a pattern encoder. Why does it keep going night? Go day. Are my shaders all? Something's screwy, because my graphics keep going nuts. It's only after I interface with these blocks. That's really strange. Anyways, unable to communicate with controllers. So we'll go ahead and flip the switch and we'll activate that monstrosity. And we'll notice that I have a craft button on stone bricks. So over here, we have our crafting monitor, and he can craft, well, he just keeps track of all of the things that this gargantuan beast is crafting. And I'm going to go ahead and disable it right now. Just going to get a couple of things out. And I'm going to show you how to build him. So he's back online, and we have pages for these guys, assembler patterns. So if we go ahead and do this, oopsie, I crashed. Be right back. Okay, had a quick crash there, but we're back on schedule. You'll hear some stuff going on behind that wall, but that's okay. Anyways, this beast is back up and running, and I'm going to let NEI load back up. Go ahead and go into creative tabs and get applied energistics up. There we go. Come on. Alright, there we go. So the world is loaded, and the way you craft this guy is you need some of these containment walls. Then you're going to need these heat vents on all sides. So those guys go on all sides, including the top. Do. And heat vents. And then inside, you're going to give yourself pattern providers. I'm going to do 4 here. And crafting CPUs, of which I'm also going to do 4. Now this guy, you'll notice, has 5 pages. That's because I have 5 pattern providers and 3 crafting CPUs. So basically, what these components do is this guy has an inventory, which you'll see right here in the ME molecular molecular assembler chamber. And these guys just do the work. So you can, if you want to, have a beast with 7 pattern providers and 1 CPU. I would recommend you balance them about with 2 to 3 CPUs, because the CPUs basically just speed up how fast it crafts. So if you had 7 CPUs and 1 pattern provider, it would craft at a ridiculous rate, like ridiculous. But then you're limited on how many patterns you can actually provide it, because each of these is only one recipe. So you could see, like with my logistics pipe series, if you've watched my my past seasons, how quickly you could fill up a page with just random recipes. So that's that. You basically just need to take this guy. We'll go ahead and do it right now. Grab out 4 of these. And then if you want to reset this, you just need to sneak, right click, and it completely resets the pattern. So then I can go ahead and do this and put our pattern in there and encode it, and then it's ready to go. It's ready to roll. We can go ahead and stick him in there, and then if we access our network, you can see that we can craft. Also with this wireless access terminal, yeah, you can go ahead and just pull dirt out and throw stuff in and yada yada, so on and so forth. So I'm going to get into a few more things that are like importing items into the system without doing it manually and that sort of stuff in just a minute. But what I want to show you now is something you're going to need to be aware of. So I'm going to run over here and just snag a hybrid solar panel. And I'm going to charge up this MFE just a little bit. Not too much, just around, oh, I don't know, 5K? Sounds about right. And he's going to quickly drain off, but that's okay. So basically, what happens to all of these really awesome items if I have power failure? So I have all of this stuff right now, and you'll notice that this power bar is dropping. Oh no. Well, I just lost access to all of my items. So if you have your entire base worth of items stored in this thing and you lose power, you're screwed. To put it lightly, you are screwed. You don't have anything. So I'm gonna say this once. This guy at maximum boost range takes a ton of power. That's what this next bit is about. So what you have are these ME dark cables, and these are crafted with 2 normal ME cables. And there's all of these different types of cables. They're mainly just made by dyeing your cable, and then you have the normal ME cable, which is made with quartz fiber, redstone, and lapis, and that gives you 1. So they are rather expensive. You only get 4 from one of these quartz fiber recipes, so try to use them sparingly, but for this demo, I just went nuts. You'll use them, and if you have enough quartz, then you should be fine. But some of your systems are going to take a lot more power than others. For instance, this wireless access terminal takes a good bit of power. This crafter, ridiculous amounts of power. If we kill him, we're good. Also, each of these drive bays has a tick rate for power. So if we just go ahead and we kill our drive bays, and I plop down my hybrid solar, and we give this guy some power, just enough to come online, and then, maybe start to charge up a little bit. So we'll say that we only have, I would recommend you always keep an MFE for backup. Keep it full, designate a solar panel to keeping the MFE full. Even if it's not a hybrid and it's just maybe even a coal generator setup, keep some power ready. Because you'll see this number drops pretty fast, but not nearly as fast as if we had these other systems hooked up. Because right now we're not running that much stuff. I mean, it is dropping, but it's dropping at a fairly reasonable rate. We can probably even maintain our system right now off of just an advanced solar. So if I just grab out a tier 2 solar panel, plop it down, you'll notice we are gaining power. So just just something simple like this will keep you sufficed. I mean, that's pretty cheap. It's a couple pieces of uranium and some advanced machine block. It's cheap. But what this will allow you to do is it'll allow you to at least have access to your items. So let's say I need let's just say this is my diamonds and my gems and stuff. I can bring it over here and I can put it in this drive, and we're still going to be gaining power. Only just. But I can at least have my items available to me. I won't have my crafting available, but I do have items available to me. Now, do be warned that removing items and storing them does cost energy as well. So just be aware of that. If you're throwing a whole bunch of stuff in and out, then you are going to drain your power relatively quickly. But watch how fast I drain. And right now I am building up. If I just flip this guy on, I do start to drain. It's not crazy fast, but it's fast enough. So just turn that off. Use your dark cables. If I turn on my bank of those, we're going to notice significant drain. Yeah, as fast as it can output, it's just going to suck the power up. If I have everything on, all of this stuff, yeah, we're dropping power like it's nothing. So I mean, this is a very, very expensive setup to run, but it's also very handy. So just have something as a backup, have some thermal expansion power blocks that you can throw on here, or maybe even just have something set up as simple as this, or even an MFSU, because this can accept high voltage. And just to keep you sufficed until you can get your power situation back on. I mean, I've had it happen in a personal world already. I left my mass fab on, came back, couldn't get into any of my stuff. Nothing was working. Mass fab was off, ME was off, all of my applied Energistics stuff just gone. Couldn't access any of it, and I didn't have a redundant setup like this. So just try and keep something like that available to you. So I'll go ahead and kick this guy back on, and we can just remove that. And then I'm going to go ahead and kick all this cool stuff back on. And now we'll get to, let's say that you're, a typical Minecrafter with mods, and you want to, we'll just go for now. We're broke. We'll just grab out a 64K cell, put it in there. Well, we want to import items, right? I mean, what's the point of this mod if we can't auto sort, right? I mean, come on. So what if we can craft and store stuff? If we can't bring it in from our quarry, then blech. So what I'm going to show you is the import bus. Now there are a bunch of buses. There's a storage bus and an import bus and an export bus, and they all use this ME interface, and I'm going to show that off in just a bit. But if we grab an import bus, and we'll just say an ender chest, and I'm actually going to set myself back to just no microblocks for this bit, and we'll grab out a couple of ender chests, and we'll set one up there, and then let's just say that we have our quarry over there. Just bear with me on that. So if I put this here, and we open up its interface, we'll notice that it says always active, and we can tell it what it's allowed to import, much like the Buildcraft diamond pipe or the emerald pipe that's been added as of late. You can tell it what it can import, its stack mode, move single or stacks, and then you can tell it always active, active without a signal, active with a signal, or activate once per pulse. So you can put this on a timer, although I would just leave it like this because this is by far the best way. And then let's just say that we run across, we'll just say we ran across a big old vein of, if I can ever find some ores, we'll just say we ran across some copper. So we ran across copper, it's going to suck it out, and it's going to store it in the first available cell that it can as soon as it can. And it just stuck it in there, we have access to it, kablam. So that's how you do that. Just use your import buses and you are good to go. Now, export buses are the exact opposite of this. They basically just take items from the network that you tell them to. You do need to specify on your export ones unless you want all of your items to just go away, basically. So if I do this, it's not doing anything, right? Nope. Not gonna do anything. But if we do it this way and we export to the chest, Once again, nothing's going to happen. You'll need to tell it what to export, so we can tell it to export copper ore, for example. Or not like that, like this, stacks at a time. And then we can put that in there, and it'll just pull it right out, and we can export to do various other tasks. So we could use this, for example, to export to a processing line and have it macerated, and then re-import it as ingots, which would be pretty cool, right? Yeah. So there's that. That's how you use those guys. And now I'm not going to demo it because I didn't set it up completely, but I'm going to kind of walk you through what it's about. So we're going to flip the switch, and we're going to see a bunch of stuff come online. We're going to see some interfaces and a bunch more cabling and some buses. And if I pull this wall down, we're going to see some processing lines. So basically, you can do a lot of really cool stuff with interfaces and with the buses. So over here, I'll start over here with my, this would be something of a sorting line. You could tell your system to export into a chest, or you can tell them to export into the top of a machine. So we could just export, say, copper into here, and it would get chewed up, and then we would import it back into the system, and then we would say any iron dust can go to these guys, or copper dust, or whatever. You know what, we'll do it right now. We'll set it up. So we'll do this, and I'm going to quickly disconnect the system. So we're going to say that this guy needs to export iron ore. We don't want iron. This guy, we'll go ahead and rotary macerate that guy up, and it's going to be noisy. And then we're going to import copper dust, stacks at a time. And then we're going to re-export our copper dust, stacks at a time, from our induction furnace. So we're going to do that, and then over here, we'll have another import bus. And I forgot to hook this one up, bringing it back into the system. So we'll just, for completion's sake, do that. So basically right now, if I were to go over here and just shove this stack of iron ore and this copper in there, and then I hooked this up, it would all disappear from my system. It's all gone, and we're getting ingots back in. So we're kind of see it cycling, and then we'll come over here and we'll see that this guy is working away, and so is our induction furnace. And once this slot fills up, this one will begin to, but this thing's moving so fast, it's ridiculous. So that's a way you could do some automated processing with ME, and it's nice and compact, and it actually looks really nice. And from the tests that I've done, this causes basically zero lag. I have a different testing world, and I set up something like 50 of these in a row, and I just pounded it with resources, like as fast as I could bring in 10,000 items and shift click them into a chest. It was processing just fine. No issues, no lag. Stable at around 60 frames, which is about what I get in testing worlds, because I tend to, I don't know, that's the way it rolls. But over here, we have these interfaces. So these are pretty cool, right? Yeah, they're very cool. So if we go ahead and we grab a blank, some of these blank patterns, these guys, grafted like so, we're going to grab a stack. And then we're going to go over to this guy, our pattern provider. Now something that's cool about these guys is these guys will interface with other mod blocks, and you can tell them to export and the exported items that they are queued to do and processing and yada 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 yada. There's a big long list of cool stuff that you can do with those, but what we can do is, let's say that for iron, right? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cook up iron in this guy, and he'll get exported back into the system. And the cool thing is that all of this is instant. That's why everything's so expensive in this mod. Like, stuff costs diamonds to use and lots of quartz, but it's all instantaneous. It happens in a blink of an eye. So we're going to come over here, and we're going to grab this blank one, and we're going to program him manually. You'll note that you can put refined iron in. So we're going to say 1 iron ingot goes to 1 refined iron, and we're going to encode it just like that. So now what we can do is we can head over here, throw that back in, throw that away, and we're going to put this into processing. So these are I-sided, as are our import buses. Ooh, pretty. So we have our cables hooked up to the back of this guy. We have all of our cables hooked up because these machines can just touch and they work fine. So we're going to say I'm in the middle of crafting something and I'm like, crap, I need something. So I run over here and I'm like, I need some refined iron. Give me 10, begin. And it's going to take it and it's going to throw it into here and just cook it up. And then the import bus will bring it back into the system a stack at a time. And we have our 10 refined iron. So there's that. And we can do the same thing with sticky resin. So if we grab some rubber, we'll grab rubber, and we're gonna get 3 for every resin. So for every 1 resin, we get 3 sticky, right? Yep. So we'll run over here, and we can code this in. So we're gonna go 1 sticky resin yields 3 rubber in code. And then I can put this inside of my centrifuge extractor. Basically, this thing makes non-stackable stuff like doing reactors a piece of cake, like a walk in the park. I could craft HV solar arrays with this thing for days if I had the material. It would take me literally a few minutes of clicking in here with my various solar panels, and then I could just click craft and it would send all the items that were required and craft the ones that I needed. So let's grab the rest of our resin. We'll shove it in here. And I need rubber, so send me a stack. And it's going to send it right over here into this guy. And it knows exactly how much sticky resin to put in there to get me what I need. And if I go ahead and open up my bus, I can do stacks, and then it will move them out as quickly as it possibly can. Right? Cool. So now we have 66 rubber because it needed to do 1 extra to get us our 64. And we have the 43 remaining. And then, you can basically do that with everything. We could set up multiple recipes for this guy, so we could do a number of things in this, and we could do a whole bunch of things with our compressor and our rotary macerator and our induction furnace. So a very, very cool mod. Make sure you watch your power consumption. But overall, the mod is awesome. I've heard that it has some more balancing to undergo, but for right now, I honestly think it's pretty balanced. I mean, diamonds and quartz isn't a super common spawn, but I hope you guys go and check it out. There's a ton more stuff that you can do with this mod. This was just a quick spotlight and a bit of a tutorial on how to set up some of the awesome networks that you can. So for now, this has been Artenis215 on Applied Energistics. I hope you enjoyed. Take it easy. There's a description to the info page. If it's not, then it's ae-mod.info. Again, it's like this. ae.mod/mod.info. And that will take you to its page. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I look forward to doing another spotlight on this as it gets updated. And thank you for watching. If you liked, throw it a like, comment, tell me what I could have done better aside from being more organized. And if you want to see more, go ahead and click subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot, guys.